Hi, this is Cameron back again with another Vinyl Finds video. This is number 51. I got the albums I'm going to show today. There are 12 of them. I got them at a small record fair that we had here in Winnipeg, Canada this afternoon. I think I did pretty well. I spent about $100 and ended up getting 12 albums, most of them on a little bit higher end with a couple of dollar albums. So I got less dollar albums than I usually get. But I think what I got is going to be really interesting. I went for albums that I had mostly never heard of before, so I like the hunt for something new. That's always thrilling rather than buying what I'm certain I'm going to enjoy. So let me start off with actually here's one I did know that I would enjoy, so I'm contradicting myself. And this is actually an album I used to have and I foolishly sold off about 4 years ago when I was going through a bit of a purge. And I, of course, like usual, regretted it afterwards. So this is a band called Alamo. It's their only album on Atlantic Records. And what can I tell you a little bit about the band? It's from 1971. And the first song that I listened to is a hard rock sound, and the next one is a little bit more subdued. So I haven't listened to more than the first couple songs right now. I don't really remember too well before I sold it, but I do remember enjoying it. So I'm going to give a better listen to this in the next couple days. So Alamo. It turns out this is a better copy than I used to have, so it's great to get this album again. Next up is quite a rare album on Condor Records. It's a Canadian band out of Vancouver that play blues, garage blues, slightly psych rock from 1970. This is on the Condor label. And they're called the Blues Train. I know it's been reissued on Gear Fab Records. Next up, another band I'd never heard of before. Turns out that they're sort of a psych band. What would you call it? Psych, soul, pop, sort of a mix of all of that. A band called The Changing Scene. They're on AFCO Embassy, 1971. They do have a song called Sit Down Lorraine, which I think they originally had released on single a couple years earlier, and it's got a fuzz tone sound, but that's not typical of the rest of the album from what I understand. So The Changing Scene. So that came out in 1971. Next up, this is sort of, it gets listed as an ethereal rock pop, so I guess it's a lighter rock. I do know that they do a cover of Hey Jude. The band is called The Group, featuring Vanjie Carmichael, and the title of the album is called The Warm and Groovy Sounds of The Group. And this one came out in 1968. Okay, I hit the 2 for $5 bin and ended up getting just some things I'd never heard of before that looked unusual. So this one is, his name is Udo Jürgens, and the album's called 71. So he is an Austrian composer who competed in the Eurovision competition in 1964 and 1966, representing Austria. He had his songs covered by all sorts of artists, most notably Al Martino and Bing Crosby in later years. He's also known as the artist with the longest presence on the charts. He had first appeared in 1958, and he stayed on the charts until 2015, so 57 years. I do have to put some glue on the cover to get it back together. So the album's slipping out here. But anyways, this is called Yudo 71. Another one in the 2 for $5 bin. It's a band called Locomotive GT, which I understand is a Hungarian band. I think I have one other album by them. They're known as one of the top Hungarian bands from the early 70s into the early mid 80s. This album came out in 1980. It's just called Locomotive GT. This is on, I think, called Pepita label. Pepita International or something like that. Next up, I always pick up anything I find on Uni Records. This is a band called Orange Colored Sky. It came out in 1968. And they had started off in Pennsylvania, moved to New York, and eventually in California. They were led by a guy by the name of Larry Younger. They appeared in some movies, in some commercials, and it sounds to me that they're sort of more of a sunshine pop sound. So Orange Colored Sky. I think they were later on just called Sky. For $1, so one of my few successful dollar bin. Actually, he tossed it in for free for me. Minnie Riperton, Perfect Angel, in a shrink wrap from 1974. It's her second album. This is after she had been part of Rotary Connection, so it's sort of soul R&B, and it features her biggest hit called Loving You. Took a chance on another band. It looks like, from what I've read, looks like they're really interesting. They're a blues hard rock band, I believe from the UK, called Strider, and the album's called Exposed, and it's on a small label, which is, I can't read it, GM Records, I believe. I'm going to get it out of its bag because it has a gatefold. So I read really exciting things about that. It came out in 1973. So that should be a find. I paid $25 for that, so I took a real chance on that. And then I got a band called Strife, which is a UK hard rock band. The album is called Rush, and it too looks interesting, and I listened to a couple cuts on YouTube. This is from 1975. Also in the, I think the 2 for $5 bin, yeah, Le Temps Ailleurs Avec. So this is a Quebec prog rock band. I know I have one of their other albums. This came out in 1977. Then finally, band I'd never heard of. This was a $1 Gary Tito band, In the Heat of the Night. This came out in 1981. It's a Swedish band with a U.S. New Jersey-based, New Jersey origin singer. Supposedly they've been compared to Bruce Springsteen, but that sounds a little inflated, obviously. Have a bit of a West Coast sound influence as well. And they were formed out of a political band called Motvind. That's where the other singers came from. So that was from 1981. So anything that you people out there can give me some guidance on these bands, I'd really appreciate it. As you can tell, I took a chance and went for the thrill of the hunt for something new. There was the first Traffic album. I was looking at that, and then I decided to pass it up in favor of bands that I wanted to discover. So that's it. Please subscribe. I look forward to hearing from you, and have a good day. Bye-bye.